Hello.
Hi, folks.
Kayla Lords
John Brownstone.
of Loving BDSM, back with a first time.
Yeah.
A story time.
Mm-hmm.
This is me kind of tired of reviewing products for a couple of weeks, so I wanted to talk about something that was more related to DS and power exchange and kink.
Yay!
Yay! If you are new here, we talk about how to have happy, healthy BDSM power exchange relationships, whatever form that takes for you. In this week's video, we are going to talk about our first DS contract.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Okay, you actually do remember this better than I do.
Mm-hmm.
For once, he'll get to do more talking. We'll see. We'll see. I might say this. I've just jinxed us. I'll suck up all the oxygen. For the record, and we've talked about this in previous videos on BDSM contracts, they are not required.
No.
If you have no interest in doing one, you don't have to. They can be as simple as you want, as complicated as you want, but you also can just skip it completely. What I remember about our first DS contract was that it was before we were romantically or sexually involved at all.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a test for both of us, per se. Kind of dipping our toes in the water and seeing how it went with the two of us as far as that goes. We were friends.
We were definitely friends. I considered you kind of one of my closest friends at that point. Because I would not have been able to entrust you with the level of control I was willing to entrust you with at that point if there hadn't been some basis for friendship.
We were in each other's inner circle at that time.
You were my inner circle.
Yeah.
That sounds really pitiful, but it's true.
Yeah. And you were talking about wanting to lose some weight at the time.
Yes.
And work on your diet.
And my fitness, and it's because I always found it difficult to sort of be disciplined on my own. When I had somebody to be accountable to, that had worked in my first DS relationship. That was a function that partner had as well, had agreed to. And it had worked. And then that relationship ended. And I was like, but I still would like to be better with how I eat and how much exercise I get. And you and I had been friends for a few months at this point.
Correct.
We have talked about in past videos and podcast episodes how we met. Maybe one of these days we'll just do the story time version, like the quick version.
Yeah.
The long version I'll link to in the description box below.
Reader's Digest kind of.
Yeah, but basically you started commenting on my blog posts in late 2012.
Yeah.
We started talking to each other through blog post comments.
And then you started commenting on my blog.
Right. And then we were emailing and it just sort of escalated from
and
there.
so on and so on.
Right. And then we got to a point, do you remember when? Was this like February?
I want to say it was about February, yes. And you had approached me with this and you wanted help. We were obviously long distance at the time. She lived on one end of the state and I lived almost on the other. And
we truly were like, we're just friends. This is not romantic. We're not in love. We're not. But I could use some help, and you're a dom, and I'm a sub. Hey, how you doing?
Right. So I kind of put my thinking hat on and thought about it. And basically, what I did was I sat down in Google Docs. And wrote out a little contract about what I was going to be doing, how it was going to be done, and what consequences there were if certain things weren't met.
Right, and it was truly a blank Google Doc.
Yeah.
No formal language, nothing lawyerly, nothing that, just as
a these, here's, or there's. And
just as a quick reminder, a contract in BDSM and power exchange is not legally binding.
No.
It's not. People like to sometimes use the fancy language because they like that, but if I recall, it was either a bullet point list or a numbered list. It was very simple.
Bullet points. You know me.
You like bullet points, yeah. But it was basic statements. This will happen. That will happen. you will do this, I will do that.
So created this Google Doc, and then I shared it out to her with her email address, and then I created a Google spreadsheet.
I don't remember the spreadsheet.
Yeah, there was a spreadsheet.
You do love a good spreadsheet too.
Yeah. So that way you could, that way I had a way to keep track of what you were doing.
Yeah, and you were always really good at that while we were long distance, of using spreadsheets, Google Docs, whatever, to help us both keep track.
Yeah.
What I remember is you who are not the writer, and to this day, you love to go, but I'm not the writer, you're the writer. Go write the thing up. You wrote this all up. You sent it to me. We each had time to review it.
Yeah.
Then we set a time. Now remember, we're doing this all long distance, it's all online. We set a time after the review period to come together to talk about it.
Let the negotiations begin.
Right, which was the time to go, okay, do you have questions? Is there anything here you don't like? Is there, are there any problems with anything?
Is there anything I left out?
Right, yes, and I remember that. Did I leave something out? I remember it being very thorough. We talked about it point by point. Because it was a bullet point list, we went from the top down to the bottom.
Made it very simple.
Yep. And we did talk about each point. I no longer remember what the specific rules were. I know one of them was I had to ask permission if I wanted something that would be considered a treat.
Yeah.
I know that I think one of them was related to how often I would exercise, and also because I was going to the gym at the time. Part of that was I would text you, was it before or after, from the gym. I would text and say, I'm here, or, maybe it would be a selfie of me in my gym clothes, how cute. And I know that became a habit because every day that I went to the gym, it had to be at least 3 times a week. It was right by my office. I would be in the changing room, and I would be texting you from the changing room.
Yeah.
So it was, each line though was a different thing. It wasn't like it was one big paragraph that was like, and then this is going to happen and that's going to happen. It wasn't a narrative. It was this thing, that thing, and that broke it apart very well to be able to look at it piece by piece. I don't remember it being very long.
No, it wasn't. It was about 1 page.
I mean, even then, I think it was less than 1 page.
Yeah.
And I think, if I recall, at the end, there was kind of a little bit more of a formal statement about, we've both read this, we've both discussed this, this is what we agreed to. We didn't sign it. You can. People do all the time.
People do, yeah.
But we kept it all digital, so it was just sort of an acknowledgement that what is listed above is what we've both agreed to. Now, we are not under a BDSM contract at this point. We don't really use one. But that contract actually morphed.
It did.
As our relationship.
As our relationship went on. And one of the things that I find that I chuckle about now, as that morphed, one of the things I was very hesitant to become, I don't want to say involved in, was anything to do with your sexuality.
Like my sex life kind of stuff?
Yeah, sex life kind of thing.
Yeah, well, because there was a time period while we were kind of getting together more in a romantic sexual way where I was still seeing other people. And I was wanting to keep it very, very casual. I had gone through a horrendous breakup. I was still putting the pieces back together. I was sure that this was not going to be real or... Now, never mind, I'd entered into a contract. And never mind, we spoke every single day, multiple times a day. I was still over there going, no, it can't possibly last. And so I wanted the freedom to be able to still casually do whatever I was doing. So now none of that was satisfying. I mean, it was orgasmic, but none of it was like, ooh, I'm really excited to be around this human being. The person I was excited to be around was John Brownstone. Denial is a powerful thing. But you used the same Google Doc.
Same Google Doc.
I mean, we didn't open a new one. It was all the same.
I just kind of added to it, kind of expanded it a little bit more, added in some different punishments at the time.
My discipline was fairly simple.
It was.
We were pretty consistent with what it was.
It was either corner time. One of the more stricter punishments, I think I had you kneel on sandpaper.
Yeah, that sucked.
A couple times. And one of the things you were, at that time, you were very active on Tumblr.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the punishments was to take away Tumblr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now at Tumblr, it's just the tumble of tumbleweeds because all the sex people are not allowed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, but again, it was the exact same process and principle.
Yeah.
Every new thing was a simple declarative statement. What I was supposed to do, a separate statement would be what you were supposed to do. Then what would happen if that did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in the conversation around it, I don't remember if we actually put this in writing, but I remember talking about, because what I would try to do whenever I would go through anything that had rules or a formality to it was try to envision either the loopholes and to discuss those. I am good at finding some of the loopholes, but also some of the moments where what is on paper, real life is not going to work that way. So in the case of the very first iteration of that contract, where it was about you helping me with the weight loss I was trying to achieve.
Right.
You know, one of the things was, okay, you have to ask permission to have a treat. Like if you wanted a special dessert or if I wanted something that I wouldn't normally have, but I was craving it. And I would ask, well, what happens if I send you a text? Because we did everything by text then. And I don't hear from you. And you laughed in that sadistic way. And you went, well, I guess you've got your answer.
You wait.
Right, you wait. And you don't just do it because you think you know what the answer will be.
You don't do it arbitrarily.
Right. And then another part of the discussion, I would say, well, can I ask early for something later? And that was actually the best workaround I've ever found for needing permission for things, because I found a couple of times I waited too long, especially in long distance relationships. I waited too long to ask for permission. And then it wasn't that the answer was going to be no, is that I didn't get an answer because you weren't where you could answer.
I would be in a meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
So I learned to plan. Be like, I think today at lunch I'm gonna want this. Let me ask at 7 o'clock in the morning. But we had the framework there, and we had those conversations. So when you got a random text at 8 o'clock in the morning about something I wanted to do at 5 o'clock at night in the afternoon or whatever, this wasn't a surprise.
It wasn't out of the ordinary.
Right. This was me planning, and I could plan because I knew what the parameters were. And anytime I wondered or there was a question, wait, am I allowed to do that? Wait, what did we say about that? I had a document to go back to. You had a steel trap memory. I don't think you ever went back to refer back to that document. You're like, no, I said you could do it this way.
This is what it is.
And then I would pull up the document and go, fuck,
He's right.
But yeah, as our relationship morphed, we just kept the same document. That's the nice thing about digital.
Yeah.
It could grow and change and move. And I just remember you adding things. And we didn't add like a ton.
No.
But because the discipline and punishment side, which we do have as part of our power exchange, was pretty much the same thing, because the same things work for me regardless of what the issue might be.
Yeah.
You want to get my attention and get me to stop doing things, put me in the corner. I hate that shit. Don't put me in the corner. But, because we were long distance, we were limited in what our DS could be structured to do because there was a distance. So the same communication methods were still there. If you're asking for permission, whether it's about diet or it's about an activity, you're still going to use the same things. I remember we added part of our power exchange as long distance was you picked out my panties every day if I wore them at all. So that was added in. I think there was a bedtime set. And it was basically when you called me at night.
Yes.
It wasn't like a formal time, but because I have the ability to stay up all hours, and I could do it better then when I was in my 30s than I can now. That was sort of the time to know it was time to go to bed. If we got off the phone, I went to bed. I didn't get back up and try to do other things. I could only orgasm with permission. I could masturbate without permission, but I couldn't orgasm without it. Like those kinds of details that we set.
Or I could deny you and say, yeah, you can do it, but you're not allowed to orgasm, period.
Right. And I had to ask permission for this or that. And we outlined those very, very simply in that first contract. When we moved in together, 18 months after we got together long distance, we kept that same contract format. It truly just morphed. It's technically, at that point, you could call it our third contract, but it's all the same. It's all the same document.
Pretty much.
And you outlined all the things you thought we would do and how you thought that would
Correct.
work. And this is where contracts get fun. They have to exist out in the wild with reality.
Yeah.
And after that initial, you typed it all up. I find it hilarious. I am the writer, and you usually depend on me to be more organized, but with contracts, you always take care of it. I never,
Yeah,
I
no.
reviewed it, I went through it with you, but I never
No,
did all
you
the
didn't.
typing up.
Mm-mm.
You typed up a bunch of things you thought, hey, we could do these things, because we've been talking about what it would be like to live together at that point for several months, because we were
Right.
planning it. And then reality hit, and almost none of that worked. And we actually took a break from our DS for 2 weeks to let me adjust and let you adjust.
Right.
And
Well, because I think part of it was we were so used to long distance at that point
we didn't know how to
that
relate.
that it did not transfer well to,
Mhm.
you know, in real life and being.
Yeah, it was jarring,
Yeah.
to say the least. And you know, we were moving in together. We were combining our lives. My kids were part of that, and so it was just a huge upheaval. And I think we went back to it when that 2 weeks was up to kind of outline, okay, here are the things we're going to try to do.
Yeah.
And after that initial period, I don't remember ever looking at that document again.
We didn't anymore.
I don't remember.
It pretty much became obsolete after that,
Mhm.
and we just kind of moved forward from there, and you
Yeah.
know, the way it's evolved since.
It was nice in the beginning to have something formal. It was helpful to have something to refer back to.
Mhm.
I think that without understanding it at the time, it helped strengthen the trust we had, because what we did was we wrote it down so we both had something to be accountable to.
Mhm.
And if by some chance one of or both of us had been dishonest and tried to say something wasn't there that was, or vice versa, we both had that to go back to and go, wait, actually, no, that's not accurate. This is what it says. But because we didn't need that, we were who we said we were. We did what we said we would do.
Well, back in the day too, when we first getting together, it kind of helped me, you know, show you my consistency.
Yes, and that was a big, important part
Yeah.
of that. And so, yeah, there came a point where we sort of outgrew it, and we didn't. And we were living our day-to-day as a power exchange couple, and we don't have a lot of rules or a lot of protocols. It's a very natural, fluid thing for us. So there wasn't even a bunch to write down. Now, I've never been prohibited from, if I needed to write something down to make sure I remembered it, of course I could do that. And if we both, I would say if we wanted to make a change, a drastic change to our power exchange, we might go that route, not because it's a formal contract, but because we need help remembering. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Writing it down is good for the memory. It means you don't have to try to remember it. It's
That's
just like
true.
a checklist. But yeah, it was very fluid. Our relationship is like that. We started off with structure because that worked.
Mhm.
It made the conversation much simpler.
Yeah.
Because you were the one that put it together. I could see your thought process. I could also see that you had listened to me, because you took on the things I was
Mhm.
asking for and saying, and it's a great part of communication. In active listening, what you do is you kind of say it back to the person the way you heard it, to give them the opportunity to, one, know that you heard them, and two, to maybe correct something if it's not quite right. This was the same principle, but in writing. So I had said all of these things that I needed help with, that I wanted to achieve. Here were my goals. We'd had those conversations, and you remembered enough to put it in writing, and then if you had forgotten something, I could bring it up and it would just get added.
Right.
But what I learned in that instance is how good of a listener you are, because we didn't have to include anything you'd forgotten. You took everything I said.
Mhm.
It wasn't that complicated, but you remembered it. You basically put it into your own words on the document, and then I could see it right there in front of me that you had heard what I was saying and understood what I was looking for, which was not the purpose of the contract, but it was a great benefit. It went a long way to solidifying the trust, because I knew that you were paying attention to me. But yeah, you've always been the one to put that together, and we kept it really fluid, and we used it while we needed it and while it worked, and now we
No, we
don't.
don't.
But we're not closed off to the idea either.
No.
Not at all. And we didn't do it to formalize the power exchange. We did it, I think, to organize the power exchange.
To organize and build it.
Yes. And to make sure we were on common ground and understood each person's part. And I think that a contract can be all of those things. It can be a formal thing and an organizational thing. I think it can be a communication tool. I also think it's okay if you do it for the formality and nothing else, or if you do it just for the organization side and not the formality. It's like every other part of BDSM and power exchange. It's whatever works for you. There's no one right way. I am all about free and easy for anything we do, but it's thinking about a contract, a Google Doc, a Word doc, a piece of paper, a sticky note, doesn't matter. For people who like something a little bit more formal and something that guides them through the process, BDSM contracts do exist. We are an affiliate of BDSMcontracts.org. We liked their site before we ever worked with them. This video is not at all sponsored, I would have told you in the beginning, but we do have a discount and an affiliate link in the description box where you can, if you're in the market for something formal that helps you put it together, it's not just a blank piece of paper, that's down there for anybody interested. But it's just not required.
It's not required. It was a tool that we used at the time.
It was a tool, and we went free. We went free and digital. And we kept it that way. And I think right now, if we were to use an actual formally made BDSM contract, it would be because we want to do something formal, because we want to kind of talk through it in a different way.
Yeah.
If we were to change the structure of our power exchange, well, first of all, we do a lot of talking before we ever put anything in writing. And I'm pretty sure one of us would have our notepad and a pen, or we would have a Google Doc up, and we would be doing it that way. And yeah, I'm not sure there's anything else to say about our first DS contract, which went through three edits over time, and is now somewhere in the depths of one of your folders.
Yeah, it's archived somewhere.
Yeah, you're.
I know I didn't get rid of it. It's sitting there archived.
You're a digital hoarder.
Well,
we will have it we'll have the zombie apocalypse, and somewhere on a drive somewhere will be
that contract.
So I guess now it's your turn. Have you ever had a DS contract? What was it like? How did you make it? Do you think you would want a contract in your power exchange? What kind? Do you want something digital? Do you want something formal? Are you comfortable with a blank piece of paper and filling it in, or do you need something where you're just filling in the blanks? Like, tell us, comment below, let us know your experience and your thoughts and how you view that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think that's us and our first DS contract. And look at us, back to talking about stuff.
Yeah,
and I let you talk.
Huh.
I know.
You didn't suck up all the oxygen.
No, I'll do that later.
I know.
I mean, I might do that later. That's not the conversation for now. Oh, goodness.
Okay.
We have the hand rubbing. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, or us, or our weirdness, give us a thumbs up. If you really like it and want more of it, subscribe to the channel.
And don't forget the notification bell so you get updated when we have new content.
Sure do it, Daddy says. And if you really, really like what we do and you want to get more of it and help us do more of it, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/KaylaLords. Bye.